dumping some leachate, but most of the discharge is groundwater that they're collecting. So they have a certain flow, and I graphed the last year and a half of flow, which is about 26,000 gallons a day. And they did bring forward that they acquired 57,000 gallons a day of capacity 20 some years ago.
From Tyngsborough?
From Tings, yep. And what they're doing now, so their system is functioning, but they're required to deal with PFAS. So they're gonna have to start treating for PFAS. And ultimately, I don't know, it sounded like their flows might go up when they start doing that, because they need to collect more water. But they have the option of continuing to discharge to the sewer, but they might increase substantially, or maybe they could do a surface water discharge. So when we left the meeting, they suggested that you submit a letter that documents, the commission's position on that, what the capacity looks like, and we were explaining all the limitations on the Chelmsford line for capacity. So the purpose of this letter is to let the EPA know that if they send a lot more flow, that's consuming available capacity, or you're kind of at capacity now,
Right.
so it's taking away from any capacity that you do have for current users. So that's what this letter talks about.
What was the number again, what they?
They bought 57,600.
Can you confirm that?
We did, yeah, they sent us a financial document.
But we don't have any records of that?
So we had anything related to the subject, we just pulled within probably the past month, I'd say, from the garage, just picking and finding stuff. So that thing that they sent, we did have a copy of an unsigned draft, but they have the copy of the final copy of it.
Anybody know who signed it?
Yep, hold on a second, I have it right here.
Not that it really matters, I'm just curious if it has anything to do with the other issue that we got going on.
Was it about the same time frame?
There you go.
Sounds like it might be.
Okay, Kath, hang on here.
Oh, you got it? Oh, thank you.
So the highlighted part,
In there shows the 57,000 gallons.
No, I was just curious.
Oh, I signed it.
Yeah, Fred, Dave Whalen.
Fred. Oh, so you know all about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And Elizabeth Coughlin too?
So yeah, we're on page, you gave them the highlight.
What did you say about the highlight?
there's a highlighted section, one.
With the gallons?
Yep, and then there's another one which, we haven't found the document, but they would request, they had up to 2 years to request like an additional 7,000 gallons, but
Yep,
there's no document.
so there's no
Stating
follow-up to
otherwise.
that.
They don't have one either though, right? They're not saying it.
I
They
think
only
if they did, they
submitted
would have
this,
provided
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
They seemed, they did explain to us that although they're doing this feasibility study, they do not make the decisions, it's gonna be higher up. So they seemed willing to work with us and take our considerations and put them in their feasibility study. So at least it was kinda good timing that this all happened at the same time. But they can't promise anything either way, they're given the feasibility study and then they'll find out if they want them to do a treatment plant sort of thing on property, would you?
Yeah, I think in both scenarios, they're gonna have to do a
Treating.
pre-treatment facility, kind of like an industrial pre-treatment facility to remove PFAS. They have fairly high concentrations in the groundwater there that they're pumping. So in the letter, we kind of listed out all the efforts the commission has taken in regards to capacity on the Chelmsford line. Document the flow that you're basically right at capacity, and if they increase flow, that pushes over. And that's after allocating flow for all the betterment payers who bought capacity. But yeah, so they do the feasibility study, make the, I guess, recommendation from the feasibility study, then that goes up the chain, and then somebody at EPA will make the decision as to how much money they're prepared to invest in that treatment facility, and if the groundwater versus, surface water discharge versus the sewer system is their preferred scenario.
Any idea on a time frame?
Yeah, so they are moving forward with that. There's a chance you could have it end of year, but it sounds like it's really by by March or April or so, you'll have an answer.
But I think they said you wouldn't see an increase in anything for like 5 years, didn't they say that?
Oh yeah, it would take some time,
It
like
would
this
take
is the
time.
feasibility study, so by the time they, you know,
Speed of government, yeah, it's not gonna,
yeah, they have to just do all the,
Keep it neutral.
slower than the speed of government for those guys.
Like they said, this is almost like the test site. Charles George is like the test site.
yeah, they indicated this was one of their first sites, yeah,
Is,
to deal with the PFAS.
Do the guys that you met with, they have anything to do with, like, Duck Island?
No, so David Buckley was from DEP, and his name were on a lot of the documents from years ago, so he's been involved with that site for years. He's the one that sends us our quarterly readings from there. The other gentleman was from EPA, he's the one conducting the study, so, but it sounds like he might spend a lot of time on that site, cause that's the site he's kinda highlighting
He
or
does the
testing
remedial
more.
sites for DEP, so the contaminated
I'm just-
sites, not as much on the wastewater.
If they help us on this end in Lowell, it would benefit them in this end in Tyngsborough,
So
right?
we
So-
did kinda bring that up.
That-
That's all
you
I
know,
was thinking.
We said that, you know, for DEP, you know, we're being mandated by DEP to get the INI out of the system. And so I think he was gonna talk to, a coworker over there.
Yes, yeah, he was gonna call the wastewater group at DEP to talk this through
Talk
on
it
what they're
through,
doing.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so right now, Charles George is the biggest sub pump we got in the town.
Biggest INI, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
biggest INI contributor.
Legitimate INI, yeah.
So I guess if you are okay with the letter and can sign it, I need to get this over to them so that they can include it in their study. If you're okay with that, I think
Looks good.
it does have all your names on it, so I don't know if you just wanna sign below on the bottom of it with any of the copies of his, I mean, they're all, I just printed them off, so anyone that you.
Where was that?
On the very last page,
Is there another page I'm missing?
I just really, I
Yes.
didn't,
underneath everyone's names,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Oh, just underneath?
I never finished the CCs. Like Colin and Jake, I never,
You have what?
Oh, next to our names, is that?
the
You have-
CCs, I never
Everybody
finished
knows.
Colin
Oh, with
and
their
Jake,
last
like,
names.
yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's on the signature page.
Oh, okay, so what do you
I
wanna,
missed that one.
You go next, underneath me.
how do you wanna handle that?
So if we sign this
can-
and he gives you a clean copy, you can sign and just put your initials. That's legitimate.
I'll attach
You're
that in this
signing that.
side,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
I, you're the chair, you get to keep it. Speaking from you, I have no trouble with putting a fresh copy on this.
And just in that same discussion, you know, we've been talking about capacity and how tight we are, and this letter reflects how far down we are at this point. So, you know, we've talked in the past about moratoriums. Where are we at right now with this? We have 1,500, I mean, continuing everything that's being reserved, right, for betterments and stuff, we would have 1,500 available. For instance, we just okayed in June for a in-law to be built, so that's coming through building department right now, so I mean, that's, you know, I know it's small, but at what point do you want me to just, we're done? Or do you wanna, each one to be brought in front of you?
I think we just do it on a case by case basis, right?
Okay.
That's what I think.
What was our discussion with, the properties that have been allocated yet 4 or 5
Yep.
years old, whatever?
So I had sent letters out to them and explained, you know, it's been 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, capacity's tight, you have 30 days to get back to me if you're interested, and nobody did. So,
Those are not paid betterments, those are, they came in, we're holding.
just existing line, wanting to
Yeah.
connect to the existing line for one reason or another, and they had not filed an application, they had not paid anything, they had done nothing.
Oh, they didn't, that's.
And
But they
I've-
paid the betterment though, right?
Nope, they're
No.
not a betterment, it's not a betterment parcel.
Oh, okay.
Nope, it was just like part of the old existing system, that, you know, a house here and a house there had wanted to come before you, you gave approval, but then they never followed up, it's been 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, so I did give them that one last letter, they did not respond by the 30 days, so I'm considering you just take them off the list, I mean, we shouldn't be
Do we know
reserving
how much
anything for them.
capacity that was, or
So it was,
roundabout?
yeah, I have that list here, I have the sewer list here, the Chelmsford flow. So, It was 5 homes, so you figure being, 1,800 gallons or something,
Yeah, 1,000 to 2,000 gallons, so
yeah.
it's something, but it's not,
Not significant.
So we're up to 25.
Yeah, would that have been, was that included, but I had let you know, so is
I
the
don't
1,500
think-
you've seen, that's not counting them, correct?
Yeah, I don't think that.
Okay, so we are back at 15, unfortunately.
And this includes the wet year of fiscal '24, right? So, yeah, and you're right. I guess my point is you're right there with the wet year. I know it's raining now, but the 30 dry days we had over the last month was certainly helping with flow. And Tech Drive was approved.
Tech Drive was approved.
That's
what kinda kicked off this whole thing.
In here,
I
Well,
figured
you-
you listed it separately because, it was very recent.
and it was a. Sorry, is it moving forward, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I haven't heard otherwise.
So that was for a specific project, not from just a high level?
That was,
Yeah.
yes, so, they had a betterment up there, but it was a very small betterment because they were gonna put, office buildings, and now it's going to, the proposed plan is for like outside golf place and I think with a restaurant and a function hall and so forth. So we looked at all of that, and they would have needed an additional 9,500 gallons a day. And that's kind of what kicked this back into gear of let's
Yeah.
take a look at our capacity and see if we can allow that. And we can, but after that, it's just, so we'll subtract off an in-law off of the 1,500, because that's where we're at right now.
Yep.
But other than that, we'll just keep it case by case, I guess, huh?
All right. Toll Brothers?
Yeah, do you have any?
Yeah, we did a site walk and came up with, some on-site
Those little
stormwater work
pictures.
that they were doing, so they've installed the berms as we discussed. So I think that work is done.
And that was for overflow to the neighbors, or?
Yeah, to help with that.
Yeah.
And then we have a small amount of like paperwork punch list items we're waiting from them that Mike, had sent over like a week ago.
So they're on board with taking care of that stormwater issue, right?
Yeah, so that's been done,
'Cause that
yeah,
wasn't
they
what we
completed their,
was reported at the last meeting, right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Paul, was there any other issues there, or are we all set?
No, I'm all set with my end, I mean, it was just the last thing was the stormwater and, putting the loom and seed down,
Yep,
cause they got rid of the building and I got the generator at the garage. I took it out there with the crane, it's sitting on the rollers at the garage in case we ever need it, something needs.
A couple months ago, they, stopped paying the electric bill, was it? They were gonna push it
Yes, so
over
they did end up paying me for the last 2 months. So we just got another one in yesterday, which went through like mid-September that I sent to them. So,
So it's being paid, nobody's gonna shut the power off.
correct,
Yeah.
it's being paid. And, I would assume this one should be the last, as long as they get your paperwork.
It was done once before, years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that.
Happened.
I would think,
Why is the generator on?
relatively soon, I would
Well,
think
that's
that would be.
yeah, cause the date should already, cause they owe us some punch list items, but I think the date that was agreed upon was when the demo was completed.
Right,
It's
so,
either that or the stormwater, but,
okay, so the demo was completed last week, right?
well, that was the stormwater, the demo was completed before that,
Yeah, so when's
So
the,
early
when's the warranty
September.
start?
yeah, that early September date.
Okay, so
So
then,
we'll confirm that date.
yeah, just confirm so I can see whether or not they do owe that final one.
How confident are we that the berm stuff will fix the neighbor's issue? You know?
It will help, and I was there on Saturday when it was raining, and everything in the driveway pitches to the catch basin, so it's seeing less coming down from, I forget the side street in that neighborhood, but that's all pitching towards the catch basin.
Because it was raining pretty heavy
Yeah.
some parts of Saturday, so that'd be a good test, yeah. Okay.
All right, future sewer phases?
We just did drawdown number 13 of the grant, that just got approved by EPA and sent out. Anything
Yeah,
on
we,
your end?
Christian went to the conservation hearing this week, I think there were a couple more comments that came through, so we just have to incorporate those, and then we'll have the order of conditions, so, and we had previously met and went through all the design, came up with a long list of comments, so we're incorporating that into the final design, so just proceeding along.
Well, the neighbors show up, or was it?
I did not go to this one, I only went to the first one, cause my understanding when this one was some minor, just the minor
Go
updates
through
on the
those, yeah,
plans and
okay.
stuff. Did you, hear, was there a lot of turnout?
I don't know.
I didn't hear
I
that,
talked to
so-
Christian, but yeah, we didn't really get into detail. He just said there were a few of these comments. But I know there was the previous concern about the easement from one of the property owners. We had been communicating with the other one, so it was.
And they brought it up at the conservation meeting?
Yeah.
They're
So
thinking about putting a proposed garage or something on, they were just concerned where that was gonna, if that was gonna affect their ability to add on.
And we had previously talked with them about pushing it further away from the home. So that was a matter of just making that adjustment to minimize that concern, I guess.
Yeah.
But I know they were not thrilled with that easement.
Once Corner Development,
Nothing new.
Phase 1 West, 9597 Westwood Road,
No, not anything new.
50 Westwood,
Nope.
Phase 2 Sewer Project.
The only thing on phase 2 was just, I did receive an email yesterday from the gentleman, who is the developer at 84 Kendall, you know, and, he just said that he sent this along, just in case you're interested, that's the schematic design. And he did say the engineer used the Title V calcs, cause Wood and Curran had wanted, the method of estimated gallons to be calculated through Title V. They said they're just under 30,000 gallons a day, and that's gonna be going through Drake. So they have reached out to Brock's to continue discussions about using their lines, and once they, get that finalized, they'll call me and they'll come to a meeting, and then we'll get to really go over plans and stuff with them and get any, questions answered and all of that.
Alright.
The Brock stuff goes all gravity down to Firewall and back, pumps back up? Or does it go?
Brock's has got 2 pump stations on their site,
So they'll
and
come
then
out?
it goes gravity halfway.
No, but I'm saying, once it hits Middlesex Road, it doesn't go over the bridge, cause that's
No,
only
it
force
goes
main.
to Farwell.
Firewall and then back up.
But it goes through the storage units and then
Yeah,
down to
Right,
Farwell.
right between the storage units.
That property was in forestry, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And then now it's out, they took it out?
It will be out.
They will
We
be
gave
out.
the first right to the town because it was in forestry, and so the town said no.
I'm assuming if they're
I didn't watch the last meeting, but it
Yeah.
didn't look like they had any interest
That's a
in it.
huge complex,
Pretty big development.
200 units.
Yeah, so once they reach out, we'll have them in, and then we can really look at all the plans and talk about fees and all of that.
Alright, anything else on phase 2?
No, I don't have anything else.
Sewer Administrator's report?
Just meeting minutes to approve from September 12th.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 8th as printed.
September
With those-
12th.
What were the August 8th ones in here?
Oh, I'm so sorry, I gave you the wrong minutes, I'm so sorry, but I did email you the September 12th. I just put the wrong ones in there today, I apologize.
Wouldn't be the first time I've been a fool on TV.
September 12th.
September.
I looked twice myself.
September 12th, but I can, if you wanna wait till the
I
next
have
one.
on the phone, I've read
Okay,
them.
I did send them to you.
I scrutinized your notes, I gotta check those over.
Alright, so motion on the floor, second?
Yeah.
David,
Aye.
any further discussion, all in favor? Opposed, unanimous.
Okay, then we just have some bills warrants to review. There you go. Oh, tell me about it. Spent my whole day yesterday checking over the accounts. But I'm so grateful we have Sue entering now because it's a huge help, huge time save.
this is double because it's gas and electric, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Is there anything else on there besides National Grid?
Yeah, there's a few down the end. I think Verizon and, what else is on there? WB Mason. I bought a binder for $5. Okay.
Sure.
Kev, what was on the Weston and Sampson Fairings Pump Station?
So that was,
I
I don't know
couldn't
if you
read
wanna
all
explain,
that.
that was when the pumps, there was a problem with the relay, so it wasn't alternating the pumps back and forth.
Oh, yeah, we had a problem with the solenoids at the station. That was a while ago.
They bill late. They bill you like a few months
And
later.
what's this Weston and Sampson 16?
Okay, so that was the two grinders that we had, you had approved in the budget. They were put in the Middlesex grinder, that's the 25, and the Bridgeview for the 16, they did a portion of the work in fiscal '24, so we paid a portion of it then, and that's the remainder that they did in fiscal '25, so they had to do.
They're on contract, right? They're the little-
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And they had given us quotes on installation for both of those.
So we got one more left, and that would be Flint's Corner,
Yeah.
which will be done next year.
Is there any particular reason why this Home Depot thing is in here?
Oh, just because there were like 7 Home Depot bills, so I just attached them in case you wanted to see what we bought, because, I didn't wanna handwrite all that.
No, I've never seen that before, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, no, nothing special, just in case you wanted to see the supplies.
All right, senior performance report?
Basically,
Oh, sorry,
everything's,
hold on, Paul, one
Nope.
second. You good?
No.
You good? All right, go ahead.
basically everything's status quo. We, as you well know, that we had audit issues that we've been ratifying little by little, so I think we got them dialed in at this point, cause we haven't had any complaints.
I haven't had
in a little
complaints in
while,
several
so,
weeks, so,
So the chemicals seem to be working.
Well, the windows are closed now.
Oh, no, they're,
Yeah.
they're open.
So what's that gonna be on, like is that a one-time, or the chemical stuff, is that gonna be a
That's gonna be
monthly,
Constant.
quarterly, constant?
We'll have to budget for that for next year,
Okay.
so.
the equipment was kind of a one-time
The
thing, but
equipment's a one-time,
you have to
right.
refill it with both the
So
carbon
the
barrels.
drums, the carbon barrels are a one-time thing.
Yeah.
We're talking maybe 15, 20 years down the road, I'll have to replace the carbon, but it's the chemicals that I'm pumping into the wet well. It's an enzyme, it's an odorizer.
Yeah.
And you never know, once we get more flow in there, we may not.
I can cut it,
It may be able to cut
so
back.
we had to dial it in high because
Yeah.
it was,
Just to get rid of it, yeah.
yeah, so we've been dialing it back little by little. Winter time comes, we probably just shut it off.
Yeah.
But it's basically in the summertime. Cause the bioxide's on, and that takes care of the hydrogen sulfide in the force main. And we can be dial that back in the wintertime too, so. Doug is on vacation, he's been on vacation for the whole week, he's in Cabo, Mexico, fishing, so.
It's on the right side of Mexico anyway.
Yeah, he's on the
Yeah.
right side right now.
The correct side of Mexico.
Yeah, he's-
There's another hurricane over there. Wait, Cabo's on the west.
Oh, is it?
There's another one.
All right.
That's about it.
Correspondence?
No,
Complaints?
nope.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor, aye, opposed?
I would just mention that we're adjourning for
Mhm.
the work session.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
we are adjourning for going into a work session. Thank you, and good night.
All are welcome to stay.
Yes. Paul's just gonna ask them to let them know we're done, so we'll just hold off until he comes back.
Yeah, we're gonna be done in like 45 minutes.
45 minutes? If not, we can continue it